A new day is beginning in northeastern Pennsylvania, and down in Taylor Yard, the local power is gearing up for the day's events. It's just after 6 a.m. and the morning sun is still low enough to be a benefit rather than a nuisance, but as the day star gets higher, so will the number of obstacles that it causes, as well as the temperatures today that will surpass the century mark. It's July 5th, 2018, and once again I'm railfanning with the Nomadic Railfan out of North Jersey. We met up around 6 a.m. and today he's going to lose his Sunbury line virginity. We made a beeline straight to Taylor and only a few minutes had passed before the first train of the day appeared. I say this literally because train 36T is in fact the first scheduled freight train of the day on the Sunbury line, which makes it a very difficult train to catch in this area since it usually comes through in the early morning darkness. 36T is known for having interesting locomotive power, and today is no exception as we're treated to a duo of Union Pacific visitors and a standard cab -940C. As you may know from previous videos, the UP power is fairly common through here, but that standard cab -9 has now become a real rarity as most have already been converted to AC44 C6Ms. Northeastern Pennsylvania is a holdout for endangered power on the NS system, as shown by the many sightings of SD80 Max and SD70s through here over the last several months. You can expect a video spotlighting both models coming shortly in the days ahead. The 36T wasn't the only interesting motive power we'd see today. The local power consisted of not one, but two ex-Conrail locomotives. Number 6761 is an SD60i that originally wore blue paint and the number 5651 and was built in September of 1995. Number 8344 was originally Conrail number 6102 and was built in March of 1991.
For 5. Yeah, double back up 15 on
By 7:39, the sun was much higher, the temperature was much hotter, and it was getting hard to do any good shooting at Taylor. The next train to come through was the 11Z mixed freight out of Binghamton, New York, and southbound to Enola Yard in Harrisburg. From Taylor, we went south to Pittston in hopes of catching the Reading and Northern PIF train coming into town. The PIFF is a daily northbound into the Reading and Northern's Pittston Yard, which is the former Lehigh Valley Coxton Yard. By the time we got there, the PIF train had already made it into Coxton, but we were able to catch some of the interesting power. Brother and sister locomotives number 2533 and 2534 are both ex-Santa Fe GP30s that Reading and Northern now classifies as GP39 RNs. The 2534 and 2535 are both painted in a special crimson and yellow livery and are often used in excursion service. But judging by the faded glory of the 2534 today, it's been a few months since she's headed up any excursions on the Reading and Northern. Right next door to the Reading and Northern is the small Luzerne and Susquehanna shortline operation. The L&S operates over the former Lehigh Valley passenger main line into downtown Wilkes-Barre and further south to the Hanover Industrial Park in Hanover. Locomotive power consists of the locally famous GP9 number 1751 and a couple of light switchers. The L&S typically operates on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and when we got there the crew was just coming on duty and would probably be a while before any power started moving, so we grabbed a couple of frames of what was there and eased on down the road. I'd gotten word from another railfan friend of mine that Train 14R with an Operation Lifesaver -9 on the point was getting close to the area, so we went to Yatesville to intercept it. You may recall from a video that I did a few months back about the history of this old signal mast. Well, it turns out that there were actually two lessons to be learned. Shoot it today because you don't know if you're going to have it tomorrow. Another lesson from another past video. Compare this signal mast today with the photos that I took back in 2016. The mile marker plates are gone, as are what was left of the signals themselves. I also told you before about the reputation of the Yatesville grade. It's a great place to catch trains working hard uphill and serves as the warm-up for the even tougher climb to Clark Summit. Let's go, let's go! We opted to get another perspective of this train about a quarter mile ahead at the crossing, so we hurried ahead of it with Scott showing no fear as we bolted down that narrow industrial road. Like the south end of Yatesville, the north end has an interesting history too. It's hard to imagine that at one time there were at least 4 tracks at this location, but as this historical photo of when this line was the real D&H shows, that is very much the case. The 14R got held up at DuPont Junction because the K-81 crew was still working the Petrogas facility at Avoca, so with no mainline trains moving about, we went to Steamtown where we caught the Scranton Limited excursion moving about the yard with the Baldwin 060 light switcher doing the honors. By the time the Baldwin disappeared into Steamtown, the 14R was on the move, so we opted to catch it one last time climbing the grade out of town to Clark South. No sooner than the 14R's marker was out of sight, we heard over the radio that the Reading and Northern PISB and yard job were coming into Taylor. It was now after 11 a.m., and the early arrival would cause problems for us later in the day. The PISB is a 6-day-a-week local that services the Kaiser Valley Industrial Tract. The yard job is a 5-day-a-week local that services Taylor Yard. Both the PISB and the yard job usually show up together and at around noontime, which is what Scott and I were counting on. But the early arrival caused us to miss the PISB part of the train coming into Taylor, and by the time that we made it into the yard job was heading back to Pittston with 21 cars for the Reading and Northern. The heritage of the 2011 is obvious, and it's one of at least 3 that the Reading and Northern acquired from the NS during its GP38-2 purge of 2017. Other numbers are the 2010 and the 2012. If you're interested in shooting these locomotives while they still have their high hoods and NS black paint, you'd better do it fast. As I'm recording this commentary for this video, already the 2012 has had its nose chopped to a low nose and is being repainted into the Reading and Northern corporate colors. I had told you earlier in the video that you hadn't seen the last of the 8344. It's now early in the afternoon and the K81 crew should be finishing up for the day, but issue with one or more of the engines of the Train 37T now in the picture necessitated the need for the K81 to donate the 8344 to the 37T.
Yeah, have you decided you want to put this on the head end, or are you going to cut away your power and put it behind it?
We're going to use this as our leader, the NS T-54, so we're going to need the signal off the siding. We got the K81 helping us out with our marker.
Alright, K81's going to help you out with the marker, but you've already, you're on the 81's power now on the siding?
Right.
Alright, I'm sorry, what was that unit that you're on, 8344?
Roger, that's correct.
Alright, here we go, signal location.
Roger, signal location.
Now, I'm not one to tell another person how to do their job, but I think that there's some serious problems that need to be addressed here. Train 37T has got to be the most problematic train on NS. It's certainly the most problematic train on the Sunbury line. A little disclaimer here. I'm not talking about the crews. NS train crews are fine, hard-working people that are doing a fantastic job in my opinion, but the people who are running the trains out of Allentown leave a lot to be desired. Practically every day there's some kind of issue with 37T that throws a monkey wrench into the works. Engine problems, marker problems, trains too heavy to make the climb to Clark Summit, or the crews don't have enough time to get the train into Binghamton. It's always something. And while I've never worked for any railroad, I can tell you what I see observing things from the cheap seats. The never-ending problems with 37T start with the people making the decisions down in Allentown, and I hope that you're listening, because as far as I'm concerned, somebody down in Allentown needs to be fired. Moreover, the daily antics and shenanigans that take place on the Sunbury line cannot possibly be happening on the rest of NS, because if they did, NS would go out of business. Scott wanted to shoot the other side of the 37T, so we headed north to the city limits. From here, you get a stellar view of the surrounding area to the east. The best part is that this is getting close to where the toughest part of the climb starts, so hearing high horsepower diesel scream in the 100-degree heat is a real treat for the ears, even if not for the locomotive's turbochargers. The track section between DuPont Junction at CP 679 and the north switch of the Steamtown Y is a major bottleneck on the railroad. And to no surprise, the drama with 37T not only held me and Scott up, but also the DL3, who'd been waiting to go down to Taylor with 40 cars for over 2 hours. It's shown here crossing Lackawanna Avenue in downtown Scranton and moving on to the Sunbury line, where it will shove down to the north end of Taylor Yard, drop these empties, and pick up loaded cars and return. By mid-afternoon, the outside temperature was still intense, but the railroad action was cooling down. I wanted Scott to see the PISB that we'd missed coming into Taylor Yard earlier that morning, so we set up at the Luzerne Street crossing to catch it switching to Kane Warehouse in the Stouffer Industrial Park. My congratulations to Scott, who endured a 100-plus degree day and cut his teeth rail fanning the Sunbury line. Maybe we'll make a tradition out of it. North Jersey one day, northeastern PA the other, and back and forth. Who knows? We'll see. Whether or not any of that happens, I hope that I'll see you in part 2 of this 5-part special summer series. For Trains 21, call me AC. It's always interesting to see what doesn't make it into a video. When putting these vids together, there's usually a few pieces that for one reason or another don't make it into the finished product. The following are a few such clips, and I thought that you might be interested in seeing them before they disappear into the abyss of the cutting room floor.